What's up, everybody? Welcome back to NASCAR Round the Track with the Riders, featuring myself, SterlingRider, and DukeRider. You gonna say hi? You just gonna sit there?
What's up, everybody? Man, what a weekend of racing we saw in Charlotte this weekend. It was awesome. I cannot believe how good the racing was. Oh, wait a second. We weren't at Charlotte this weekend, were we?
No. You just threw me for a loop. I was not expecting that.
I told you going to like how we kicked off the show.
Fair enough.
Um, Man, the reason I say that is because I don't know about you, but I did not expect the racing that we got this weekend at Texas. I did not expect, especially on Sunday. Now, Friday night, I kind of expected that because it's the truck race. The truck race, when they're not wrecking each other, they usually put on a good show. The Xfinity race is always the best show of the weekend, and oh my gosh, what a finish in the Xfinity race. But the Cup race, I don't know what happened, but that was the best race I've seen at Texas in years.
I would agree. Of course, my favorite driver won, but that's besides the point. It was indeed a very, very good race. Probably next to Atlanta, one of the best races we've seen all season. I only say Atlanta because we had a 3 wide. We had the Cars finale race at Atlanta, but Texas was really, really good. You saw a lot of things play out that we'll get into as we talk about the race. But that's going to be kind of actually our secondary topic because there's been quite a bit of news.
No kidding. What a
This week.
week.
So, so, um, you want to start with Xfinity and what they're doing?
Yeah, well, as we've talked about before, the Xfinity series will be exclusive starting in 2025 to the CW network. It was announced this week that they will pick up the final 8 Xfinity races of 2024. Now, what I found interesting about this was that NBC will produce the races using the NBC broadcasters of Rick Allen, Steve Letarte, and Jeff Burton. Now, when they actually move over to the CW in 2025, it's going to be NASCAR Productions. NASCAR has a new huge media center that they've built in Charlotte that they're going to be producing all the races for the Xfinity series. And we don't know who's going to be calling those races in the booth. We don't know who's going to be calling them on pit road, but we're going to get a taste of being able to find the NASCAR Xfinity races on the CW at the end of 2024. I mean, that's pretty much their playoffs. So that's a big move. And the other important thing about this is the CW is a free over-the-air network in most markets. Now, I know where you're at. I don't think you have over-the-air.
I don't know. I
But
don't have cable.
in most markets in the United States, if you got a digital antenna, you can get the CW. It's available. I know it's available on all of the streaming platforms like Hulu Live TV, YouTube TV, Sling TV. But you can also get it. Friendly is an app that's fairly inexpensive that carries the CW network. So this, in my opinion, this is going to put a lot more viewers in front of the NASCAR Xfinity race because it's going to be on free TV.
Yeah, it'll definitely bring, I would say, a lot more people to watching Xfinity races, because I mean, if you can get it for free and there's nothing else to watch, what are you going to watch anyway? So that's a big thing. And then you're going to get these fans that don't have a way to really watch races. just because they may not be able to afford it, or something's going on that they can't watch the race. Having the CW take over will definitely help them out. As we said, it being free, you can pick it up as a free channel with antennas, and that's really going to help a lot of the fans out. I think it's a very interesting move that they went ahead and took the final 8 races of the 2024 season. I did not see that coming. As you said, we knew they were going to take over 2025 season, but to take over the final 8 races, which are all playoff races, is huge. So I'm excited to see how this is going to play out. I'm glad they're keeping the NBC booth with Rick Allen, Steve Letarte, and Jeff Burton. Sad. I know Dale Jr. normally does the Cup races for NBC, but kind of sad that he wouldn't transfer with that. But I know he's going with Amazon when they take over the Cup races next year, I believe. So.
Yeah, he's not with NBC anymore. He's not even going to be calling any races this year. So, which to me, and that's not news. I think we mentioned it in passing, but next to the ridiculousness that we've talked about pretty much every episode with Fox, I don't know what NBC was thinking. I mean, how do you let Dale Earnhardt Jr., the man that was the most popular driver for years and years and years, the man that's still very much involved in the sport, that's giving back to the sport through his Xfinity teams and through his Cars Tour teams and owning the Cars Tour. I mean, he's still very, very popular among the fans. How do you let him go? I mean, this is one of those things, like, if he comes to the table and he gives you a list of demands, you just sign the paper and say, okay. I mean, I don't understand how they let him go. I mean, I don't understand it. They got so much value out of Dale Jr. Dale Jr. did the Kentucky Derby. Dale Jr. did the Indy 500. Dale Jr. did the Olympics. I mean, so not only did you get Dale Jr. to do your NASCAR stuff, but you got him to draw NASCAR fans to these other events because they wanted to see what Dale Jr. was going to talk about. Mm-hmm. Now you've got a contract here and you've got a new TV deal starting in 2025, and you're just going to say, we can't work it. We can't, I mean, like I said, if he brings me a list of demands, he lays it on the table, I'm going to look at it, I'm going to sign it, I'm going to say, let's go. Because you get so much more value out of having him in the booth than having him sit at home and not be at the racetrack. So that's another one of those silly season moves that didn't make sense to me. But this CW thing, man, this is not something I had on my 2024 NASCAR silly season bucket list.
Silly season for sure, but no, not at all. I was not expecting it. I just remember reading it on, I think I saw it on Twitter first. It was Twitter, Instagram, one of the two, because I have both of those. I know you don't have Instagram, but I see a lot through Instagram. And I was like, now, wait a minute. Aren't they?
Yeah, I thought it was an April Fool's joke. I thought it was a late April Fool's joke.
I didn't even think that. I was like, I thought they weren't starting till 2025. Like, who did this? But no, honestly, I think it's a smart move. I think you're going to pull in a lot of fans is for being the season ending of Xfinity. So you're going to have a lot of fans already ready to go for the next season. Because Xfinity, if you haven't watched our Xfinity race, I would say they're one of the most clean competitive races ever with those drivers. And these are young, talented drivers racing these pretty fast cars. So it's always exciting to watch. So I think this was a very smart move by NASCAR and CW. So
And let me ask you this, okay? If you're not a NASCAR fan and you're flipping through the channels on a Saturday and you run across this race and you're like, hey, I'm going to check this out and watch it. And you see what we saw this past Saturday at Texas. And you see that. And they're talking about the race the next day. The NASCAR Cup race is coming on the next day. Are you not going to tune into that Cup race to see if it's as good as the Xfinity race? Now, granted, the Cup race was not as good as the Xfinity race. It never is. But I think having the Xfinity race on free TV, and I was thinking this going just about 2025, having it free on TV, it's going to bring more viewers to the Cup Series. Okay? But adding, like you mentioned earlier, the playoffs for the Xfinity Series on free TV this year is going to help draw maybe some of the NFL fans or even college football fans, because maybe their team doesn't play till later in the evening, so they're flipping through the channels and they run across the Xfinity race, and they like that. And the next day, they might tune into the Cup race. So we may see higher ratings for the Cup races in the playoffs this year because they made this move 8 races early.
When you put it in that perspective, absolutely. Because, I mean, I know there are a ton of NFL and college football players, fans, that love watching football. And when you have a later game, you're normally just like, I don't know what to do. I'm bored. I need something to do, waiting for the game to start. So like you said, if they're flipping through those channels and they see the Xfinity race, it might just catch their attention enough to be like, hey, this stuff is actually pretty good. I'm going to watch more of it, which will bring more viewers in for not just Xfinity, but for Cup. And eventually it might even help the trucks with viewer rating. You never know. It could be. Because me personally, it's been, I think this is the second season I've actually sat down to watch all 3 series. I've always watched just Cup ever since I started being a NASCAR fan, but once I started seeing how different the other series were racing and how, especially Xfinity, when I saw how more competitive they were, I started watching them more. So when you get one of those competitive series for free, you're going to want to see what the other series are doing. Like, are they as competitive? How do they play out? What goes on? What's different and similar with them? So I've said it before. I'll say it again. This is an extremely smart move by NASCAR and the CW. So I'm very excited to see how well this plays out for them.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to looking and watching what the ratings are. Speaking of ratings have been up for the most part this year, which is always a positive. But let me ask you a question. I've been paying a lot of attention the last few weeks on the fans in the stands for the truck race and the Xfinity races and the Cup race. And there's a whole lot more people there on a Sunday than there are on a Friday or Saturday. Now, Friday, I kind of get that because there's a lot of people that want to work a half a day Friday and then go jump on an airplane and fly to the track, or maybe they're waiting until they get off work to hop on the airplane and fly to the track. So they're going to miss, Friday night stuff. But what I don't get is if I'm going to invest that kind of time and that kind of money and that kind of effort into going to a race weekend, I want to be there when the track opens Friday. And I want to be there when the track opens Saturday. And I want to be there when the track opens Sunday. And I'm not leaving any of those 3 days until they're like, hey, we're going to lock the gates. Okay, everybody's gone. You got to go. Because I want to experience every aspect of going to these races. And I just cannot understand why the truck race and the Xfinity race just doesn't have. Now, they never have. It's always been this way. But I just don't understand why if you're going to buy a ticket for Sunday and you have to fly to the track or you have to drive into town or whatever it is, why not just get a ticket for the whole weekend? I mean, go and enjoy the truck race. Go and enjoy the Xfinity race. Go and enjoy the practices and the qualifying. Now it's not near what it used to be, but there's still something going on track. Go to the fan zone. Check out the fan zone. Hey, if you can and you can get an infield, an infield pass to go into the infield and go check out the camping area. I mean, make it a weekend, especially if you're taking your family. Don't just take your family on Saturday just to fly out Sunday night after the race and get back to work on Monday. I mean, yeah, you may be flying out on Sunday night after the race to get back to work on Monday, but fly in early on Friday and spend the day at the track. I don't understand why. And like we mentioned with the Xfinity Series, it's the best race of the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But you're missing it. You're coming to the Cup race, but you're missing the best race of the weekend. And I don't know. I just figured I'd throw that out there because to me, I just don't get it. I mean, if I was going to, like I said, invest that kind of money and that kind of time, I want to do the whole weekend and I want to experience every last bit of it.
I absolutely agree. This isn't really NASCAR like focus, but I've talked about it multiple times. The Snowball Derby. Okay, you could get the ticket for just the Sunday, the Sunday race, which was the Derby, the Snowball Derby. Or you could pay a little bit extra, which really wasn't that much more, and you could go from like it was Wednesday to Sunday. Wednesday night they had a party. Thursday night they had a couple races. Friday night they had a couple races. Saturday was qualifying for the Snowflake, which was Saturday night, and then qualifying for the Derby, which was the next day. And then you had the race that, the Snowflake 100 that night, and then you had the Snowball Derby the next day. There was not a moment in time where you would sit down and catch your breath unless you just absolutely had to, because even though it's a small track with not so drivers you may have never heard of, you got a lot of these kids building the cars in their own garage or backyard, wherever. Getting just the time, having that extra time to go talk to them, what got you here, what you've been through, are you excited, are you nervous, just having a one-on-one conversation, no media. NASCAR is covered in media, but no media, just having a simple conversation. It's really, really nice. And even with the Snowball Derby, you get a lot of NASCAR drivers there. I've met William Byron, Eric Jones, Ryan Preece, Grant Enfinger, Carson Hocevar, Ty Majeski, Brad Keselowski was there, but I didn't get to meet him, sadly, due to the way my timing was working that year. But even just, meeting with them, you can walk up because they're so nice and approachable. You can just come up, you can be like, hey, can I get your signature? Can I get a, quick picture with you? Because they know there's no media, they don't have to worry about that. They're relaxed, they're super nice, super chill. The whole week is worth it. So when you think about NASCAR, why wouldn't you want to go all week? Because you can get those passes to go talk to the drivers, go meet and greet them. Even out in the fan zone, they'll have free meet and greets if you can time it correctly. I know a whole bunch of people are going to be there, but if you time it correctly, you could go do that. Like you said, you can go check out the infield. You got the garage pit pass. You can go check out the garages. You can check out pit road. You can check out the racetrack. There's so much you can do, even when there's not really anything going on. Whether, just watching practice, qualifying, and then the races, of course. There's no downtime. So I agree. I think if you're going to go for Sunday, go for all three, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I get it. You might have work Friday, understandable. But even a lot of truck races have double headers with Xfinity on Saturday. You can still go for the whole weekend for all three races. So I agree. Absolutely. Go for it.
Nope.
I know.
Well,
Sorry, that was a long spiel, but
Well, that's okay. That's what we kind of. If you haven't noticed, we're going to change up the way we do this a little bit for everybody. We're going to spend so much time as to go through the races and what happened in the race. We'll talk about them. We'll talk about what happened, but we're not going to detail them for you. If you want details of what happened in the race, go watch the race.
if you didn't already, or you can just go look on Twitter. A lot of people we shout out, they tweet
right?
everything we talk about. So
Yeah.
Same on Instagram. Most of them are on Instagram as well. So
another big piece of news that happened this week. Well, it really wasn't news. I mean, I don't know about you, but I wasn't too shocked. But they had some testing going on at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and Kyle Larson, who's going to be running the Indy 500 this year, went down there, went up there for the test, and second fastest on the first day. Unfortunately, the rest of the test got rained out, but that impressed me. I'm not, and I've said this before. I'm not the biggest Kyle Larson fan. I don't hate Kyle Larson, but I'm not. He's just not up here for me. But watching him, and I've always watched the Indy 500. I know you haven't really been into it, but I grew up watching the Indy 500 because we didn't live really that far from Indianapolis. So I never got to go, but Kyle Larson testing second, and this isn't just a one lap. You go, you hit this lap, and you're done. This was a morning test session, and he was second. So this kind of gets me a little more excited for the Indy 500 because I think it's going to put some more eyes on the Indy 500. And if Kyle Larson goes up there and does well like Kurt Busch did, like Tony Stewart did, when they come back to the Coca-Cola 600 later that evening, it's going to take some of those IndyCar eyes and put them on NASCAR. So I think him going up there and impressing, even in this test, is laying the groundwork for Memorial Day weekend of racing to be a big ratings jump for both races, I think.
I would agree because, as you said, I don't normally watch it, but I do plan on watching it this year. I've actually taken a small interest in how the IndyCar and F1 even, because I started playing the F1 23 game on my PlayStation. There's a steering wheel behind me, and I use that. And yes, it's tricky to use with those cars. It's brought me a lot of actual more perspective on how those races go. So I'm actually excited for the Indy 500. I'm excited. I'm impressed and excited to see how Larson does. Did really well first day of test day. That is impressive. Now, for me, I'm going to be honest, that's not as impressive because I know he has that talent. This is a former Cup champion who's absolutely dominated almost every single racetrack. Almost in one season, too, when he won the championship. It was a lot of wins for him in 21 when he won the championship. So I'm really excited to see. I kind of hate that it was kind of rained out for the rest of the day. But I'm excited to see when the next test session, sorry, tongue twister, is going to be to see if he might even post the first fastest. Because if he does, I'm going to be very impressed. And it's just going to make the 500 that more exciting to see. Because it's not every day you see one of these Cup drivers in an Indy car racing at one of the, the biggest Indy race ever. So I agree. I think it's going to bring a lot of fans from both NASCAR and IndyCar. Some IndyCar race fans are going to watch the NASCAR race. Some NASCAR fans are going to watch the IndyCar race. As I already said, I'm going to watch the race. So you got a NASCAR fan right here that's going to watch the Indy race. So I agree, and I'm super excited to see what happens. I've also never been to the racetrack. Well, the race, I've been to the racetrack. So have you. We've seen the racetrack. We've taken a lap around the racetrack. We've kissed the bricks at Indy. Not everyone can say that. No, we didn't win a race. Maybe I won a foot race to the bricks, but that's about it. But if you get a chance to go, it's actually a very nice racetrack. The infield was cool. You could see the road course layout that the Cup series used to run. Super excited that they're going back to the oval this year for the Brickyard 400. But Indy is a very nice racetrack. If you get the chance to go, I would go. Try to do the tour, go check out the museum, do the lap around tour where you get to, literally go around in a bus and do a lap, and you get to stop at the bricks and kiss the bricks, as we did. So if you get a chance, I would go. Even if it's just
just don't go. Just don't go on race weekend because you're probably not going to get the tour.
You won't get
on
the tour.
Track. I mean,
you probably could go look in the museum, but you probably won't get the tour.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's man, I tell you what, there's just so much going on this year in the world of motorsports. I've tried to watch F1. I've tried to watch it before. I mean, there's no point in me. I don't need another nap.
That is true. It's like that on the game. If certain times when you get so far ahead, it's just like, what lap am I on again? I'm on lap 8 of 20. Can I be done now?
Right.
I mean, even the game is kind of boring. Or maybe I'm just that good. I don't know. Maybe both. I wish I was that good, because if I was, I'd probably be in a real race car. But I understand.
Some you mentioned gaming. Some other news that we really haven't discussed very much. I think we've mentioned it. The iRacing has the licensing to the console NASCAR gaming now, and they are going to be releasing. It was announced a couple weeks ago in the fall of 2025, I believe, that NASCAR 25, produced by iRacing, is going to come out. And I tell you what, man, I am looking forward to this game. I remember playing the old computer Papyrus NASCAR racing games back in the late 90s. I mean, this was before I really even got a PlayStation or anything like that, because I had a computer. The game was, I think I got it at the bookstore that I worked at, so I got a really good discount on it. So I think that's why I got it. And you could go on there and you could design your own car from bumper to bumper. And this is, like I said, this is back in the 90s, and this is the company that morphed into what we have today as iRacing. Now they have the console games. I am excited. I just wish I didn't have to wait until the fall of 2025. We've waited. NASCAR Heat 5 in 2019 that came out?
2000,
and
it was 19 or 20, because it has the 2020 original 2020 lineup in it.
Yeah, so it probably came out in the fall of or probably came out in the spring of 2020 before the world went crazy.
Well, that was 2019, but still.
Yeah, and then we got NASCAR Ignition 21, which was, I didn't even play it because watching the gamers, the YouTube guys that played it, I'm like, this is not worth my time. I mean,
I haven't played it either. So, I mean, just like you, I watched people play it, and I was like, I mean, it looks okay, but it doesn't look like good. And
but the glitches that were in the game, I mean, you had a car, if you wrecked a certain way at a certain track, your car would like go under the track, like you're floating in the air under the track. I mean, for as long as they had to work on that game, that was unacceptable. But now what we need iRacing to do is we need iRacing to get the IndyCar license, and get the World of Outlaws and other. I think World of Outlaws has a pretty good game that's out, but get other racing series, maybe even IMSA and ARCA and all that, and just give us some console games.
Well,
that'll be fun to play.
That would be awesome. If you don't know, they already have license for. I don't know about ARCA. I'm pretty sure ARCA, but almost everyone you just said, Indy, Outlaws, they have them for their PC simulator. You know, the one you play on your computer. So I would not be surprised if the NASCAR game for console does really, 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 really well. Which, being iRacing, I don't see any way of it being a disappointment. Just because of seeing how well their PC version has done. I mean, during 2020, we had NASCAR drivers playing it to give us some sort of entertainment during the season when they weren't actually at the track. Like, that's how popular it is. And you still got some big-time drivers that play on it to this day, like Timmy Hill, William Byron, Dale Earnhardt Jr. They, you know, and a lot of drivers even use that to help them, like, practice for the next upcoming race. So I don't see this game being a flop at all. I see it excelling very, very well. And once they see that, they may say, hey, you know, they may go to IndyCar and World of Outlaws and ARCA, be like, hey, this did really, really well. Can we do this for y'all? And I believe it would be very, very possible. World of Outlaw, I would say, would be the only one kind of tricky because they have some really, really good games. Their most recent World of Outlaw game's actually pretty good. It's very challenging, but it's pretty good. I don't have it, but I've played it with a friend. So I would see that being the only, we kind of like where we're at now, but everyone else I see pretty much saying, yeah, let's give this a try. So I'm just excited, to be honest with you.
Something to look forward to.
Yeah,
we gotta look a long time.
Yeah. But supposedly next year there's a lot of good games coming out, because I'm a big gamer. As long you follow the channel, I'm always live streaming a game once a week. Lately, my schedule kind of kept me from doing that for a few months, but I'm always gaming. Like, that's pretty much all I do in the free time. So it'll definitely be a game I will, stream just to see. So gotta wait a while, just like I gotta wait on the game. But I'm super excited for it.
Yep. All right. Well, I guess we need to start talking about the racing. Truck race Friday night. Anything stand out to you?
Hold on, let me pull up the actual starting grid. No surprises. Sanchez with the pole. Kyle Busch qualified fourth. I think the only surprise was the fact that Raja Karuth, and this hurt me because he was my pick, qualified 10th, but had to go to the rear due to a flat tire. But other than that, I would say no surprises at all with the lineup. Didn't take us long to have that first caution, though.
Oh man, and this is one of those. This is one of those what the heck moments that we've seen this. This is not the first time this has happened. But Thad Moffat's steering wheel came off. I mean, now when they put these steering wheels on, they put them on, and there's a thing that clicks, that grabs, and they're supposed to give it a couple of good tugs, to make sure it's locked on, right? I don't know if he didn't do that or what, but this is ridiculous and completely unacceptable for any driver to be out there. Now, if something broke, we can't blame it on the driver. We can't blame it on the team, it's a parts failure. But if he just didn't give it that couple little extra tugs, he affected. Now, the other guy that was involved, I really can't say his last name, so I'm just going to call him Memphis. That was his first name. I thought that was a pretty cool first name, though, Memphis.
Memphis Villarreal?
Villarreal or something like that.
I gave it a shot, okay. But
I don't want to butcher his name. But this took out Tyler Ankrum. Tyler Ankrum is having a career season right now, and he gets taken out on lap 2 for something that's ridiculous.
Yeah, because as a driver, when you go to put that, you climb in, the wheel's off, you climb in the truck or car, you put the wheel on, all your equipment. I would always double check. And I have personally climbed into a NASCAR before at the Mark Martin Museum in Batesville, Arkansas. I climbed into one of those cars. I don't know if I was supposed to, but I did, and the lady was okay with it. So I had to take the wheel off to climb in because I'm lengthy, and then and Mark Martin's very short, so it was a squeeze. And I had to put the wheel back on, so it actually looked like I was in the car, holding the wheel. I understand how it clips. It clips on super easy. You just slide it on, you push it, and you wiggle it a bit because there's a latch that helps you take it off. You'll hear the latch click. I don't know if Thad didn't just double check or what, but that is something you should definitely make sure is on the truck before you even start the engine, because it's a very important piece. I'm kind of shocked it lasted the lap and a half it did, 2.5 laps it did, because they come off really, really easy if they're not latched on. So
well, and that's why I also said this could be a parts failure. I have not seen anything on the news in the media about what really happened. They just mentioned on TV that it was his steering wheel that came off, and it was mentioned just kind of really quick on Twitter, and that was about it. But really nothing else much exciting happened during the race, except Lane Riggs decided he was going to be Mr. Spin around multiple times again. I mean, you talk about somebody having a rough season. Poor Lane Riggs. This is not the first time that he's had multiple issues in a race.
Which was because he was running well too. He qualified 7th. He was running up top 10, and then he just started being a spinner.
He just doesn't have one of those cool names like Ricky Stenhouse has, that we could call him like Wreckham Ricky Spinhouse. It's hard to call Lane Riggs. Hard to come up with the fancy spinning name for Lane. But I guess Lane needs to learn to stay in his lane.
Riggs that spins. Nah, that's the best I could do in the spot, but I tried.
That's bad. That's bad.
So,
let's see here. Stage 1, Kyle Busch. Stage 2, Kyle Busch. Victory lane, Kyle Busch. I mean, that was why he was my pick. I mean, it's Texas Motor Speedway. Kyle Busch has 20 wins across all 3 series at Texas. He's tied with Todd Bodine with the most truck wins at 6 at Texas. I mean, he's pretty much driving KBM equipment because Spire bought all of the KBM equipment. So he's working with a lot of the same guys that he had at KBM because Spire hired him. So I mean, they didn't even have to move their toolbox out of the building. They just changed. They got a different shirt, got a different logo on their shirt from what they had. So I'm not surprised to see Kyle Busch go down to Texas and get in a truck and win. And it's a huge confidence boost for Kyle, because if you look at his stats in the Cup Series this year, he's when we look at the points later, he is at the cutoff line right now with +0 in the Cup Series, but he has really kind of had a rough go at it in the Cup Series. So coming down to the Truck Series helps boost his confidence a little bit. back in the day when he was able to run every truck race and he was running every one that he could and he was winning every one that he got in, he was kind of annoying. Plus, he was driving a Toyota. But now he's in a Chevrolet, and that Realtree truck was a pretty good looking truck. It reminded me a lot of the old Dave Marcus Realtree car that he ran one year, and a little bit like one of the Kevin Harvick Realtree cars as well, kind of a cross between those two. But anything else stand out the truck race to you?
No, not at all. I just want to point out if Kyle Busch hadn't won, the Realtree diecast, truck diecast probably would have been DNP'd. But since he won, hopefully it won't be. Because I actually, for the first time in my life, won a Kyle Busch diecast.
I don't even think it was offered
Until he
before
won. Probably
Yeah.
not. Because there's, I think Lionel's still trying to do something new with their truck diecast, I think. If I saw correctly, I don't know. I may have saw something else, but I'm not surprised. Their trucks are rarely offered anymore. So, but no, Kyle Busch won the race. No shocker there, really. Just sucks. My driver kind of could put it around there in that race, but so.
Well, but he did. He was able to come back with a 12th place finish. I mean, even after spinning out early in the race, he was able to rebound and finish 12th. So, but again, we talked about this before. When people have problems, it's a championship team that's able to take adversity like that and still able to salvage some sort of halfway decent finish. So. Raja is really doing a really good job. I'll tell you the surprise for me in the top 10 was Daniel Dye down there in 6th because it was almost like watching Days of Thunder out there. I was waiting for them to change his tire and his crew chief tell him go out and hit the pace car because he seemed like he hit everything else on the track.
It did.
I mean, he was in several instances.
Yeah. But I would agree. The only shocker, I wouldn't even say shocker, just unexpected there, is Daniel Dye. But no surprises, really. Busch won, Corey Heim second. No surprise there. He's been doing an excellent job this season. Nick Sanchez third, Christian Eckes fourth, Zane Smith with also a return to trucks finishing fifth. Daniel Dye, as we talked about, finishing sixth. Taylor Gray seventh, Tanner Gray eighth. I bet they're happy with a side-by-side finish. I can't read who finished ninth because it's blurry. Parsons. I can't read your first name, man. I'm sorry.
Stefan.
Is that what that says? Stefan? The S and the T look like.
Yep, Stefan Parsons.
It looks like the Omega symbol. I can't from how blurry it is. Ty Majeski, top 10. Finishing out the top 10. Lawless Allen. Does that mean the laws don't apply to him or what? Finishing 11th.
That is an absolute Western name out of the West. I mean, the old Western movies. That
is true. Raja Caruth, as we talked about, came back from back in the field, finishing 12th. So it's a very, very strong run for him. Wish I could have seen better if he hadn't gone to the back at the start, but yes, I'm being a crybaby. Get over it. Stuart Friesen 13th, Bailey Curry 14th, and then Matt Crafting rounding out the top 15. Johnny Sauter made a return, finishing 17th. And other than that, nothing really surprising. Lane Riggs, our top spinner, finished 31st. So that his luck is just not doing well. Hopefully it'll turn around. I mean, he's with a championship team with that 38 team. And we've seen him run in the top 10. We just saw it at Texas before he started spinning. So it's definitely doable. He's got to keep the truck straight, which may be tough for him. I don't know, but I'm sure he'll turn it around here soon. So I'll let you do the points update real quick if you want.
Yeah. So Christian Eckes is still in first. I mean, he had a banner year last year. He's having a career year this year. Corey Heim is second with an average finish of 3.2. I want to say. Man, you talk about a great average finish. I think the only reason that Christian Eckes is even ahead of him is because, and he's only ahead of him by 2 points. So, but he's got he's got more wins under his belt. A few more stage points under his belt. Otherwise, I mean, when it comes to finishing, Corey Heim is right now looks like the championship favorite. Eckes and Corey Heim look. If they don't make the Final Four, something drastic is going to have to happen. And I know we'd say we're looking a long way out, but there's only 9 races left before the truck playoffs. There's half as many races left in the truck series before the playoffs than what there are in the Xfinity race. There's 18 races left in the Xfinity series and only 9 left in the truck race. So, but I still, like I said, I got to call Corey Heim and Christian Eckes 2 of my favorites to be in that Final Four. Ty Majeski's in third. Nick Sanchez is hanging in there in fourth. Taylor Gray fifth. Tyler Ankrum in sixth. Had a rough night the other night. That's really all I can say about Tyler Ankrum being taken out on lap 2. That was just hard to take. Rajah Caruth in seventh. Matt Kraft in eighth. Tanner Gray ninth. Grant Enfinger is 10th, and that is the current playoff drivers. Well, if the playoffs started today, which, like I said, is not too far off. Daniel Dye is 5 points back in 11th of Grant Enfinger. Ben Rhodes is 6 points back of Grant Enfinger. Garrett Friesen is 17 points back. So, and Barry Curry and Jake Garcia round out the top 15. Somebody's going to have to pick it up because Ben Rhodes is going to get him a win sometime. So if one of these, Grant Enfinger, Tanner Gray, Matt Crafton, want to stay in the playoffs, they're going to have to pick it up because, like I said, I believe Ben Rhodes, he's struggled quite a bit this year, but I mean, he's a 2-time champion. He could come out and have a win. I mean, he could win at Talladega they're not going to be at Talladega this weekend. But I mean, he could win the next race out. There's no doubt in my mind that Ben Rhodes could go out, and I think he will win before the playoffs. So these guys there towards the tail end of the points in the playoffs need to get it together.
Yep, because as you said, there are only 9 races left in the until playoffs. So some of them are going to have to start picking it up, or they won't make it. So, shall we move on to Xfinity, or did you have something else?
No, that's it. I was going to run to the Xfinity. Jesse Love gets him another pole. Cole Custer, I didn't even have to change in the notes. I didn't even change Cole Custer's name because he started second 2 weeks in a row. Again, this was by far the best race of the weekend. Justin Allgaier swept the stages. Then in the third stage, I'm sorry. We kind of had some weird problems. I mean, Justin Allgaier, he's leading. He barely taps Leland Honeyman. He slides and hits the wall. It brings out a caution. There wasn't really a lot of the stuff that went on. But I do have to mention, I do want to go back to the beginning of the race and mention that big save by Taylor Gray. I mean, and Ross Chastain, who, by the way, did an excellent job in the booth Saturday. I really enjoyed listening to him. When they did the in-car of the car that was behind, that witnessed all this from Taylor Gray, Ross Chastain is like, that's a wreck, that's a wreck, that's a wreck. That, like, 4 times he should have wrecked that car. But Taylor Gray saved it, and he only lost like 3 or 4 positions.
Which is impressive. I mean, because this is during the back straightaway as well, coming out of turn 2. That is impressive. He got he didn't quite get sideways, but he got very wobbly, got really close to the wall, came back down, was still wobbly, straightened the car out, and just kept going. Impressive by that kid. You have in the notes, he can wheel a car, and he can, because he showed us.
Absolutely.
So very impressive by him. Also with Ross Chastain, go ahead.
Taylor Gray keeps driving like that, he's going to find himself in the Xfinity Series next year without a doubt. I
agree. It's hard to keep a car straight. Going fast, it's hard because you're going to lose. The more speed you're going, the less handling you're going to have. So for him to handle that car that well at that speed is impressive for sure. So, and as you said, Chastain did an excellent job in the booth all race. He's got a while before his racing career is over, but I would love to see Fox or NBC pick him up for a broadcaster when he's done. I think he would do absolutely great, just like Kevin Harvick's doing. Guy just coming out of the car, understands everything. I think it would be a big bonus. Like I said, that's probably quite a while before that happens. Because
there may be a new TV contract before that happens.
Yeah, just because Chastain's still kind of new, and he's still a very well contending race driver in the Cup Series. So,
well, I would not have. I mean, had I not been watching, if this had been my first Xfinity race to ever watch and listening to Ross, I would not have known it was his first race in the booth. He sounded like he's been doing this for years.
That is true. Yeah, like we both said, impressed, for sure. So
I'll tell you what I enjoyed was this was the first race where there was excitement in the Xfinity booth. I mean, there was a lot going on the track. There was a lot to be excited about, but I've seen races that had stuff like this going on where the booth just is like, it's like they're calling the race in their sleep. There's no excitement. There's no drama playing. I mean, they'll be, there's drama playing out. It's like, really? You sure don't sound too excited about it. I mean, but this weekend with Joey Logano and Ross Chastain and Adam Alexander did an excellent job. Now, I've been guilty of watching listening to Adam Alexander call a race is less interesting than watching paint dry. I love the work that he does on NASCAR Race Hub. He does really well in that show, but he seems to struggle from the excitement factor in the Xfinity booth, but he was able to do that this weekend. I don't know if it was because Ross Chastain was up there and Ross just has that excitement about him, but I really enjoyed the Xfinity booth this weekend.
I agree. that is the most excited I've seen. Like you said, the most excited I've seen the booth for any race, for the Xfinity race. Because Adam's normally kind of just monotone with everything, doesn't really get excited. But I think having Ross and Joey being excited, because the way I view it, it's always about the people, how the people are around you. If they're being excited, you're gonna want to get excited. You know, if they're having fun, you're gonna want to have fun. It's just the way it kind of works. And I feel like having Ross in there, especially for how well he was doing, and how excited he was as he was calling a race, it got both Adam and Joey excited as well. And so we had a really good, broadcast coming from the booth as we watched the race. So,
well, I don't know who came up with this idea. If Fox, and they've been doing it for several years now, where they've had Cup drivers come and call Xfinity races in the booth. Ever since they started doing that, the Xfinity races have been a lot more exciting. This is kind of where Kevin Harvick cut his teeth in the booth as well. Joey Logano does an excellent job. I'm not and anybody that knows me knows I am not a Joey Logano on the racetrack fan. I will boo him all day long, but in the booth, he does a great job. Brad Keselowski does a great job. Ryan Blaney's been in the booth quite a few times. He does a great job. Austin Cindric, he's done it a couple times this year. He's still kind of trying to get his feet wet. I want to say it was a Dale Jr. download nicknamed him Blippy. Said he looks like Blippy with his little bow tie and his glasses.
I could see it.
Yeah, I almost died when I heard them talking about that on the Dale Jr. download.
Give him the blue shirt and the orange suspenders and bow tie, and I bet you 100% he will look identical to him. I hope he does that.
That's his Halloween costume. That's what he wears to church every Sunday.
At least he goes to church.
That's true. I enjoy the Xfinity booth with the Cup drivers in the booth, and I hope that Ross does this more. And I would love to see the CW continue this trend when the Xfinity Series goes to the CW. I know that NASCAR is going to produce the races. I don't know whether they're going to have the commentary booth at the media facility or if they're going to have it at the racetrack. They gotta. I mean, in my opinion, if you're calling the race, you gotta be at the racetrack. You got to be looking at the big window in front of you, not just on the monitor, because you will see things out the window that you won't see on the monitor.
Right.
So I think they got to be at the track. Plus, if they're at the track, it gives these Cup guys the opportunity to go into the booth and give us their perspective. And a lot of these guys that are getting in the booth have driven this car that's on the track right now. So they know what it feels like. They know how it drives. A lot of times, if you listen to like Joey and Brad and even Ross this weekend, they could almost see a car getting loose before the car got loose. I mean, because they're like, I saw that I saw that coming. I could see him. I could see the way he was driving up off the corner. I knew that was going to happen. So that's my thoughts on the Xfinity booth. I really, really hope that when NASCAR takes over the production of the Xfinity races next year, that they continue this idea. I don't know who came up with it, but it was probably the best idea that Fox Sports has ever had when it comes to NASCAR races.
No, I agree. Absolutely. I hope CW does take what they have been doing and keeps getting the Cup drivers to call these Xfinity races, because yes, sometimes they are kind of boring and very monotone, which doesn't help me at all. But the way this weekend was, I've said this before. I'm normally playing a game while I'm watching the race. That way I don't fall asleep when it is boring. It was exciting enough that I actually paused the game and watched the race because that's how well they were calling out everything. So when you do that, it was an absolute good broadcast. You had almost a perfect setup in the broadcast booth. So hopefully CW does take what's going on now that Fox is doing with the booth and keeps doing the same thing. We don't know, but we can hope. So
after that last restart, and Ryan Sieg got out front. Were you sitting down?
No, not at all. I was pushing for Siege. We've both been a fan of his pretty much since the beginning. His own team still looking for his first win. He's had multiple runner-up finishes in second. And to see him leading Texas was exciting. I was super excited. I was hooting and hollering. I wasn't hooting and hollering as loud as I was Sunday, but I was still being kind of loud. But I'm gonna just say it, tough break, man. I was so sad.
I mean, I have not been sad after a race for a long time. I was heartbroken for Ryan Sieg. I can't imagine how Ryan felt. Gave a very professional, excellent interview after the race. But you could hear it. You could hear the heartbreak in his voice. And then when he posted on Twitter a little bit later, you could almost read the heartbreak in his words. I mean, tied the second closest finish in Xfinity Series racing, 0.002 seconds. I think I got an extra zero in the notes.
No, I think that's right. I think you have it right.
Oh well, it's right. It's still, man. That is crazy that he won. I mean, Sam Mayer won the race by the length of a 164 diecast car. Not front to tail, but if it was sideways on the front of Ryan Sieg's bumper, they would have tied.
Yeah.
164 scale car. That's how daggone close it was. Now, if I am in second place and I'm 5 seconds back, and not that big of a heartbreak for Ryan Sieg, but to be leading going into turn 4 and be next to him coming out of, and that was a heck of a crossover move that he did when Sam Mayer passed him. I mean, he could have just gave up, settled for second, but he got back in there, and they touched coming down the front stretch. Maybe if he'd have touched him a little bit harder, but that's not the way Ryan races.
Right.
But man, what a finish. I mean, again, if you saw that on Saturday, are you not watching Sunday?
Yeah. and again, if you saw that for free on the CW, why wouldn't you want to go watch the next, the Cup race the next day? I mean, you just got a full-on free race that had an exciting booth, an exciting finish. Why not? I mean, the excitement there was for this finish and the heartbreak from the other side, because we're kind of on the heartbreak side. Great for Sam Mayer. Glad he got a win. Junior Motorsports gets their first win of the season. But
Sam Mayer saves his season because he's been awful up to this point.
Yep, Mayer saves his season. But just the heartbreak for Ryan Sieg. He's been pushing for that first win for so long with his own team. Man, I feel so bad for him. Like, it hurt. That's like me. I hate to compare it to a video game, but that's me goofing around too much on on the NASCAR game. I'm running the high line, being goofy, and then all of a sudden, last lap, they're neck and neck with me, and it's like, what did I do? Of course, I know that's not what Siege did. Because he originally took off, got away from the pack. Sam Mayer caught him, passed him, went a bit a ways from Siege. Siege came back, and boom, they're right there. Very impressive by both drivers. Great for Sam Mayer. I'm really sorry for Ryan Siege.
Well, I'll say this. What this shows me, and we've seen it from Ryan before, when he's running good and he has that confidence, and they bring cars like that to the racetrack, because this was not a fluke. This was not a pit road, staying out on 2 tires with the last restart. This was a legit race his way up to the front. I mean, yeah, there were some wrecks that happened. There were some cautions that came out that gave him an opportunity to get more track position, but he drove like he'd been driving up there for years and years and years. It's this team. They've got some great sponsors. They've got some sponsors that's been with them forever. I mean, ever since I can remember, they've got some sponsors that are still with this team, and that's awesome, and I love to see that. But if somebody would step up and give this team some money, I'm talking some money, some junior motorsports sponsorship money, this guy would be in victory lane multiple times a year. He would be a perennial championship contender every year, because he's got that talent and he's got that heart. He just needs a little bit more money to help his race cars go a little bit faster.
Yep. Because, even you just saw him contending even without having that little extra money for that little extra help. You just saw him contending. That's impressive for a guy that owns his own team. So if he could get that, he would be a championship contender, 100%. He's already a playoff contender, just how well he can drive. If he can get that extra help, he's right there. He could get right there to the championship level and go out and win one. So I would like to see that. I don't know if it'll happen, but I'd love to see that. So
this is the definition that for what NASCAR fans want of the underdog, the guy that could come in with his own team like they used to in the 60s and 70s and the 80s, and even some in the 90s. You come in with your own team, do it your way, and be competitive and win races. And I think Ryan's one of those guys that when he wins a race, when he gets that first win under his belt, we're going to see him win a lot more races. And we've seen that before with drivers in the past. They get that first win under their belt, and then the next thing you know, they don't quit. I mean, let's look at William Byron, for example. He won that first race in 2020. He won that race, a couple races in 2021, won a couple in 2022, and then, last year, 6 wins. This year, he's already got 3 wins. We've seen this before now. Granted, William Byron was not with an underdog team. I mean, he was with Hendrick Motorsports, but it still took him a while to get that. Same thing with Chase Elliott. Took him a while to get that first win, but once they got that first win, boom. I mean, they're off. And I think that Ryan has that ability to get, once he gets that first win under his belt and gets that confidence that I can win on a late race restart, I can win after leading 50 laps, coming to the end with no cautions at the end. I can win. He's gonna be a force to be reckoned with, even with what he's got now. take out the extra money, even if he takes what he gets now and he starts finishing in the top 5, well, that gives him some more payout money from the races to be able to invest back into the team.
Absolutely. So.
All right, Cup races. Cup race. I say races. Once again, didn't even have to move Kyle Larson's name off of first place. 3rd pole in a row.
Impressive. Not shocking, but impressive.
Well, but there's only been one person win from the pole this year. William Byron. I mean, he's the first one that's been able to win from the pole this year. And
what was it, Coda? It was Coda,
yep.
Wasn't it? Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Road course. But yeah, that is true.
Ty Gibbs continues his impressive year qualifying in 2nd. And I gotta say, when it comes to Ty's not really having that much of that sophomore slump that a lot of drivers have experienced in their life. He's doing really well for a sophomore driver, and he's handling himself really well. I mean, when he does have issues, like he did this weekend, I mean, poor guy had to pit a couple times, one stop and one pit road cycle. Had some other issues on pit road, but he handled it. He sure didn't handle it like the Ty Gibbs of the Xfinity Series would have handled it.
Yeah, that is true.
So I'll tell you what I saw in this race. What I saw in this race was it looked like the cars were hard to drive. It looked like, especially coming off of turn 4. Now, they talked about that bump there in the middle of turn 4. It seemed to be throwing a lot of guys for a loop. Jimmy Johnson spun out. Michael McDowell spun out. Christopher Bell spun out. Alex Bowman spun out. Carson Hocevar spun out. Several drivers. Josh Berry spun out. We had a couple spins there towards the end of the race that we'll get to in a minute. But it seemed like, and I think this is what made the race, this is what to me made the race so much fun to watch. There was a whole lot more cars that had an opportunity to spin out. But drivers figured out that they were losing it off of turn 4 and they were able to control their cars. And this is the way it used to be with the cars slipping and sliding and big name drivers like Jimmy Johnson spinning out.
Yep. Yeah, one bump, no matter, even if it's just a small bump, it can really throw off these cars, especially when you're not expecting it. So a lot of these, I say a lot, every single driver had to either wheel around the bump once their tire wear let them, or just hit the bump and keep the car straight the best they could. So it definitely came down to how well you could handle it throughout the whole race, really. Because as you said, there were a lot of big-time drivers, popular drivers that spun out. So
I will say the big shocker to me for the weekend, though, was, of course, Jimmy Johnson and Kyle Busch both spun out in practice. Both ended up starting at the back of the field, and then Chase Elliott qualified 24th. The rest of the Hendrick teams, let's see where that all qualified the top 15, but by the end of, by the midway of Stage 1, Chase Elliott has worked his way up to 8th. I know there was some a couple pit road cycles in through there with some cautions coming out, but Chase proved early that he had a fast car, but he didn't get up there. I mean, there was a lot of people seemed like they was complaining about the passing at Texas on Twitter, but Chase didn't seem to have any problem passing anybody.
Yep. Good passes. Got up to the front once, the green flag. Pit stops were going through there in stage 1. And then, as usual, what you want while you're up front through this is a caution. The caution got thrown, and it really let Elliott contend for the rest of the race. So it was a strategic call that played off, which is really rare, actually, because normally when we get up to this point, to any point where we're having green flag pit stops, we rarely have a caution happen. So
okay, so in the first stage, we had some weird things happen. We had Martin Truex with the loose wheel. He had 2 loose wheels on the day, but the really weird thing was Ty Gibbs pitted, and the socket from the lug nut gun got hung on the car, got pulled out of the gun, and they had to come down pit road for a second time. Man, you don't see that happen every day.
No, not at all. So when you're thinking about the gun, guys, it's an air gun. Okay, it's got the big socket, the one lug socket that connects to the gun itself. The drill. That socket got stuck on the lug nut on the car. It somehow came off the gun. I've never seen that before in a NASCAR race. It's probably happened before, but I haven't seen it, especially with this new package with the one lug nut tires. That has never happened before. So that was weird. That's all I got to say.
That was. But let's talk about, because like I mentioned, Truex had another loose wheel later in the race. I have heard they play a lot of Truex's radio because he's second in points. Here's the thing: he's second in points, but it seems like he's having these miserable races. And when he does have something go wrong, it's almost like he's not having fun anymore. Do you think he's going to stick around, or do you think, even if he wins some races this year, do you think he's going to stick around, or do you think he might be at the point to where he says, I think I've had enough, I'm not really having fun anymore? Because it doesn't sound like he's having fun.
I would agree. It doesn't. I think the downhill really started in 2017. He went out Furniture Road Racing, won the championship. Team shuts their doors. He goes to Joe Gibbs Racing for the 19. Still does really well for a few years. Did really well in 2018. Did well in 19. Did decent in 20, but it seemed like we started seeing a decline over these last few years, especially with a crew chief change. That really hurt because it took them a long time to get that first win with the new crew chief. So with the way his luck is kind of planning out now, I don't see him staying around once his current contract is up. I don't know when it expires, but
He signed a 1-year contract. He's been on 1-year contract the past 3-4 years.
So we may be at that point where he's going to say, I'm kind of tired and it's time for me to put the helmet away, and I don't know. I don't know what he would do afterwards.
I think he'd just go get it. I think he'd just go out and get on the bass tracker boat and go out in the lake and fish all day. I mean, that's what he enjoys, hunting and fishing. He's earned I mean, he's earned his opportunity to go out his way. I hope. This is just my opinion because we've seen other drivers make the announcement mid-season that this is their last year, and then there's not a whole lot of fanfare for them going out. I mean, we saw Tony Stewart the year before he retired. He made the announcement. There was a whole lot of fanfare. Jeff Gordon made the announcement. Kevin Harvick. Let's see, Mark Martin. Uh, Dale Jr. when he announced that he was going out, he did the fan tour for them. Even Richard Petty, when he retired, he announced the year before, this is going to be my last year, and it gave the fans an opportunity to get out. It gave the tracks an opportunity to have something special for these guys that have given so much to the sport for so long. I mean, you mentioned 2017 championship, 2018. About midway through the year, they announced, "Hey, we're shutting our doors," and he's like, "Wait, what?" It's like, I just won a championship for y'all, and now you're going to kick me out? And Martin had been kicked around. I mean, he'd had some. I mean, you go back to 2014, his first year with Furniture Row, and it was a miserable. I mean, absolute miserable year for him personally, professionally, but he stuck it through. Um, I would like for Martin. I don't want him to stick around if he's not having fun, but I would like for him to make an announcement whether that he's going to leave sooner rather than later, unless he's going to run one more year, and give the fans an opportunity to get out and see him at the racetrack that haven't been able to, or may want to go out and see him race again. Give the tracks an opportunity to celebrate what he's given to the sport and what he's done in the sport. Because somebody like Kurt Busch, Kurt Busch did not get that opportunity because Kurt had to retire due to his medical condition with his concussion. He was not afforded that opportunity, but he deserves it. I mean, I wish that they would, at least let him come drive the pace car every week. Have some sort of Kurt Busch celebration at all of these tracks just to thank Kurt for what he has given to the sport. And he still continues to give back to the sport at 2311. I would really like to see Martin have that opportunity, but I don't know if Martin's that guy either. Martin, he might make the announcement at Martinsville this year if Phoenix is his last race. He might even wait till after the checkered flag at Phoenix and call a press conference and say, "All right, y'all, been nice seeing you. Bye, I'm done." I mean, that may be Martin's personality. That may just be the way he wants to go. I mean, that's kind of the way Carl Edwards went out. He's like, "Bye, y'all, I'm done." I would hate to see Martin go out like that. If he does go out like that, I would like to see him go out winning a race or two this year.
Yeah, I agree. Just the struggles he's had as a driver and with his team. Because even I'll kind of backtrack again when we were talking about Furniture Row Racing and how mid-season they were shutting their doors. I think me and you had almost a 2-hour conversation is trying to figure out how are they shutting their doors. They just won a championship, so we're like thinking of sponsorships. We're thinking of maybe some equipment pricing. We were thinking about it deeply. It didn't make sense to us. It was kind of it was a curveball thrown to us when we were expecting a fastball. It was tough to see that for him. For all he's done as a driver. But I would agree. I would like him to go out winning another race or two. And I would much rather have an announcement earlier than later. That way we can give him, the support and appreciation he deserves. He's been in the sport for a long time, drove a DEI, drove for Furniture Row, drove for Joe Gibbs. Is a champion. He's a proven driver. I would love to see that for him. I wish we could bring back, a way, as you said, for Kurt Busch to do that. Even Dale Jr. Of course, Dale Jr. is still very, very involved with the sport himself, but he didn't. He had a short time because he was pretty much that season when, due to medical things. At that season, at that point, he was just like, I'm gonna finish out this season and I'm done. And then Kurt Busch, his medical reason, he was pretty much gone right at the start from his medical condition, and that one I would say really hurt because that was an end of an era, as he was the last driver that was still racing that had raced alongside Dale Earnhardt Sr. So that was, I'm sure a lot of Dale Earnhardt fans were heartbroken to see that a former champion and former contender to Dale Earnhardt had to step away due to medical reasons. So I would really like to see Martin get some appreciation. However, that is up to him. We can only hope that he gives us time to appreciate him. But like I just said, that is his decision, and I'll respect it either way, because it's well deserved at this point.
Yeah, he's earned the right to go out. However, he chooses to make that decision. Well, we had another three-wheeler on the track.
This was shocking.
Considering who it was and the fact that they're one of the best pit crews on pit road every week. I mean, they won him the championship in 2021. They've won him a lot of races. And they lost him this one.
Yep. He lost a wheel. Kyle Larson loses a wheel. I remember they were talking. They replayed that, talking on it, and they were talking. They were. How do I put this? I can't English right now. They were broadcasting his radio channel at what they were saying when that wheel was about to come off. Kyle thought he had a flat, and then he was like, well, now it just feels like the tire's gone. And you just hear the spider, that's because it is gone.
Yeah, he's like that. Not just the tire, the whole wheel's gone.
Yeah, the whole wheel is gone. And as a competitor leading the race, got the pole, leading the whole race, having that happen, that had to suck. I'm sure he was frustrated, but there's not much you can do. He came in for a 2-lap penalty. Haven't heard any vacations for anybody on the pit crew as you have on here. I'm sure
they usually announce those on Tuesday. Yeah, so
and
we'll
this
see
is
tomorrow or Wednesday when that comes out.
Yeah, because this is Monday. If they do, I might do a quick little snippet talking about it. So let me know if they do, because I probably won't see it. And I'll do a little snippet to add on to this. So it'll be at the end of this if it happened. If not, it won't be. So that had to be tough. It also hurt my fantasy very badly. Not as bad, because he came back.
I'll be honest with you. The last lap hurt my fantasy.
Yeah, he did come back to get on the lead lap, and then was kind of running up through the field even. But the way I had it set up, my fantasy set up, I was able to kind of move this guy up and this guy in the garage, and then, I don't know, I did some sort of puzzle for some reason. But
yeah, so let's see. Kyle Larson wins stage 1. Ross Chastain wins stage 2. Then the fun happens. We get down to let's see here. There was a caution at lap 160 where Larson spun out. There's 260. I'm sorry. There's only 267 laps to this race. We restart with 2 laps to go. This is not an official green-white checkered at this point. Coming down for the white, or I think, were they going into turn 1 when Hamlin spun it out? I think they were going into turn 1. Or were they coming out of turn 4?
No, they're coming out of turn 4 because they were about to come to the white flag.
That's right. They were.
I was like,
because the caution came out right before Chase crossed the start finish line.
because at this
But
point, I'm like, Elliott's in the lead. Let's go. Let's go. Get to the white flag. Then I see Hamlin spin. I was like, no, why would you do this to me?
and Michael McDowell had done the same thing earlier in the race, racing for the lead, and just spun it out. Man, that was nuts. But I get it. I mean, I get it. You're coming to the white flag. You got to go for it.
Yeah.
You got to go. Like I say, you got to go for it. So we get it overtime, and
The first one.
how nervous are you at this point?
I don't know what to say. Like, I'm just like, I'm at the point where I'm like, hurry up, come on, I need this race to end so I can breathe.
Right?
Because Elliott's at a 42 race winless streak right now. Had a tough 2023 season, due to the snowboard incident and then the penalty as soon as he came back. So I'm just like, I need this. I have a chance and I need this. So we had our first overtime happen after Hamlin spins. However, for some reason, we're wrecking each other back in the pack. Going into turn one.
We will mention this was a Rick Ware racing car.
True. So not really any shocker there. But Harrison Merton and Kaz Gralla spinning out did not help me at all. I
can imagine at this time you were getting ready to change your underwear.
I was ready to take a trip to Texas and slap somebody. That's where I was. It's like, you're in the back. You shouldn't be racing this hard. Like, I understand if you were racing for points, but back here, you're not racing for much. So they send us into a second overtime. And again, all right, so we got Chastain lining up next to Elliott again.
Well, now, here's the interesting thing. Did you hear them? They were talking about fuel.
Yeah, that was nerve-wracking.
Right?
About to start this, this second overtime. They're saying Elliott. They're telling Chase, you have enough for this overtime green white checkered. If there's another one, we're gonna have to pit for fuel. And I'm like, well, there better not be another one, or I'm really gonna make a trip to Texas and I won't be happy.
This is Watkins Glen last year all over again for you. They're running more laps than they got fuel in the tank.
Yeah. It also reminded me of his first win in 2018 when he was it was fuel. Busch didn't get enough fuel, had to repit. So it was Elliott and Truex.
And then Truex ran out on the last lap.
Truex ran out on the last lap, and I'm sure we still have that video of me hooting and hollering and jumping up and down.
Oh yeah,
somewhere. I almost pulled my phone out and recorded this. How happy I was for this. Because we go into overtime number 2. I'm like, you better not wreck anybody until that white flag is waved. Then I want somebody to wreck as long as he's in the lead. So we go into overtime. We're lined up with Chastain. We take the light flag, still side by side with Chastain pretty much. And then Elliott gets around him. And we come to the backstretch. We have a little oopsie daisy where Chastain got loose from what I saw, and then Byron hit him, causing him to spin. And the yellow and checkered flag is out. And I'm hooting and hollering. I'm clapping my hands. My neighbors probably think I'm crazy because I was being loud. Like, I was so happy Elliott won. I was like, we just finished. We just got rid of that winless streak. We just won for the first time in the Hooters car, which was very awesome to see him do a small little Polish lap. And then in the interview, talking about Alan Kulwicki. I'm an Ali Kulwicki fan. I never saw him, I never got to see him like race live, as that was before my time. But I'm a fan of Alan Kulwicki. So to see Elliott pay tribute to him, respect to him, and finally get this stupid Hooters car in victory lane was awesome to see. Like I said, I was hooting and hollering. I probably sounded like an absolute idiot, but I was happy. That's all that matters.
It's probably how I felt when William won the 500 this year.
Probably. I was being loud for that too, but not as loud. However, there's not a Hooters here. So that's the only sucky part. I didn't go get my 10 free wings for this.
Yeah, your mom asked me if we wanted to go this evening. And I was like, no, we don't have time. I mean, the closest one to us is, 20 minutes down the road. I was like, we ain't got time to do it today.
But that's okay. But Chase Elliott. Super.
Well, I got my Coca-Cola shirt on,
well,
so
as you can see. And before you ask, yes, this is a 1 liter bottle of Coke, and it's almost gone. But I have my Coca-Cola as well, because this is also his first victory since joining the Coca-Cola racing family.
Yes.
So that is also awesome. So really, really awesome to see him back in victory lane after the struggles of last season. More money down the drain for me. But I will happily spend it. But yeah, I was super stoked. So I'm very excited how that ended.
Yeah, I was excited for Chase to win too. I hated that little incident there with William and Chastain. But you could clearly see it looked to me, and it seemed like this is pretty much what everybody has confirmed that I've listened to in the media so far, is that Chastain got loose coming out of two and had to lift a little bit, and the closing rate for William Byron was just so fast that William went to pull out to pass, but he was there. I mean, there was really nothing, just one of those, it was not done intentionally. It wasn't a bad block. It wasn't an intentional spin out. It was just, a racing deal. But so William finished third, but Brad Keselowski, with his best run of the season, he needed that. And if you go back to the beginning of the race when they were talking about him and Joey both, they were running like 32nd and 33rd, and Kevin Harvick was like, "That's just not good."
Yeah, that is true. So Keselowski with a very good, well-needed finish. Byron, another top 5. His last 4 races, he's been top 5 except for one where he finished 7th, which was last week. So he's showing off really well. Tyler Reddick in 4th. Daniel Suarez in 5th.
I thought Byron won last week. Wasn't last week Martinsville?
Yeah, okay, the week before that. I'm sorry.
Richmond. Is it Richmond?
Yeah,
I got you.
Richmond, he finished.
Don't throw me off like that.
I'm sorry. I'm always off, okay? My clock is different here. So, Chase Briscoe finishing 6th. Impressive for him. Bubba Wallace 7th, so both 2311 cars in the top 10. Austin Dillon gets his first top 10 of this season, and to be honest, probably the only one. I'm sorry. Kyle Busch.
Yeah, his having a miserable year.
Yeah, Kyle Busch, a top 10 as well, finishing 9th. And the impressive one, someone who spun earlier in the race, came back for a top 10 finish, finishing 10th, Carson Hocevar, the rookie. Impressive for sure.
And we got to get on that same note, his teammate Zane Smith spent some time in the top 5 as well. And when they played his radio, he said he was like, "Man, this is a totally different group of people up here. They drive completely different up here than what they do back there." He was kind of. It seemed like he was a little shocked that the racing was different up front than what it was in the back. I think he figured out. He's like, man, those guys back there, they're serious, but they're not serious like these guys up here.
Yeah. That is, I would believe that. Definitely good for him to get have a run up front there for a while, because it gives him that experience in the Cup car running with these guys. So I'm sure that was nice for him as well.
So we forgot about the Xfinity points. I guess I jumped a little bit into the Cup a little too quick, but Xfinity points, we've got Chandler Smith leading, Cole Custer, Austin Hill, Justin Allgaier, Jesse Love, Riley Herbst, AJ Allmendinger, Sammy Smith, Parker Kligerman, Sheldon Creed are your top 10. Ryan Sieg is in 11th, and Brandon Jones is 12th. By points, but by wins, Sam Mayer, who is 14th in points, is actually in the playoffs, which knocks Brandon Jones out of the playoffs because they only do the 12 cars in the Xfinity race. Anthony Alfredo's in between them in 13th, and then SVG in 15th. So there's the top 15 there of the Xfinity series. No really big surprises here. Anthony Alfredo would probably be my surprise for driving the R Motorsports car. Kind of hanging in there, having a decent season. So be interesting to see if he's able to put together a possible playoff run down the stretch. And like I mentioned earlier, they still have 18 races left. So be fun to see that. So you want to run through the Cup points real quick?
Sure, I'll run through the Cup points. So we got, like we talked about earlier, Kyle Larson in first and Martin Truex right behind him in second. Denny Hamlin third, Chase Elliott fourth, William Byron in fifth. Even though he has the most wins, but this is points, not playoffs. So,
well, you got to remember. Also, he had that incident with the trash bag. What was it at Las Vegas?
At Vegas,
where the beer can got caught in the air cooler.
Yeah, that was a weird one.
And then the next week, or in Atlanta, the week before Vegas, he had that wreck coming on the pit road. So he had a couple bad weeks right there that kind of set him back in the points, because both of those happened early in the race and cost him a lot of stage points and stuff.
But even, the small things like that, you can see how effective it can be even when you're winning multiple races.
Mm-hmm.
So Ty Gibbs in sixth, as again, just doing really, really well for his sophomore season. Ryan Blaney seventh, Tyler Reddick eighth, Bubba Wallace ninth, Christopher Bell 10th, Ross Chastain 11th, Chase Briscoe 12th, Chris Buescher 13th, Alex Bowman 14th, Joey Logano 15th, and Kyle Busch rounding up the 16th spot.
Except Kyle is out because Daniel Suarez, who's 18th, has a win.
Oh, man, why you gotta steal my thunder? I was about to say that. So that is correct. Suarez has a win, one at Atlanta. So he pushes Kyle Busch out. And then you have Brad Keselowski in 17th, is he tied? No, Kyle Busch and Logano are tied.
Just tied, yeah.
So, and Keselowski is 1 point behind them.
1 point, yeah.
So that shows you how close the bubble can be when it comes to the Cup cars, Cup drivers. So,
and Daniel Suarez is only 7 points out, points wise. Yep. So, a good run at Talladega could actually put him in the points position as well.
Absolutely. So
now the last NASCAR topic before we get into our fantasy stuff that I want to talk about, I want to bring up. We are multiple races into the season. How many races are we into the season right now?
I don't know.
Well, let's see here. Let me If I look at the point, if you look at the points, it'll tell you what race it is. Um, anyway, we're multiple races into the season, and
9.
Ford. Okay, so we're 9 races in
We're
the season,
9 races in.
and Ford not winning. The only non-Hendrick, non-Gibbs driver that's won a race this year is Daniel Suarez in the 99 car at Atlanta. I'm not gonna say he shouldn't have won that race, but that was close to him not winning that race. It was also close to a Ford winning that race, but it was close to not Ford winning that race as well. Is Ford in trouble? Do they need to panic?
I would say so, because we have Joey Logano, former 2-time champion, not running well. Ryan Blaney, literally last year's champion. He's doing okay, but we've seen him run better. Brad Keselowski, we know, does really well. He did well this week, but he's been struggling, along with Chris Buescher, who won 3 races last season. SHR, Stuart Haas, we haven't seen them in victory lane for a while.
We're seeing flashes. Driver in the top 10 here, driver in the top 10 there, 1 or 2 drivers in the top 10 here, but when you're in the top 10 1 to 2 weeks out of 9 races, your points position's not going to be there. And if you're not in the top 10 consistently, you're not going to start winning right off the bat. So I think they're in trouble.
I would agree. I mean, as I just explained, we've got these drivers who are not doing very well that we know have proven themselves beforehand. So Kevin Harvick, I'll even say this. Kevin Harvick touched on it, talking about how they brought in this new body style, the dark horse body style, hoping it would pay off. And it has, as he said, it has not paid off yet.
Mm-mm.
So,
and outside of Ryan Blaney, the Fords weren't super fast last year either.
Exactly. So I would 100% say they're in some trouble. I don't know what exactly the issue is, but I would say when it comes down to it, it's something to do with the manufacturer, because as I was saying, these drivers have proven themselves as their former champions and former race winners. So I don't know. It seems like something is wrong and there's some trouble brewing. I know we've talked about it a lot in a few episodes, with Stuart Haas, not having a term after this season. So if that's going to be how it is, where are these teams going to go? Is Ford starting to think about pulling out? And maybe that's where we're going to get another, like I've said before, Honda come in and take their place. Or
that would be a big loss for the sport to lose a manufacturer like Ford.
I would agree. Ford's been in pretty much since day one, and American car company has always been involved in the sport. It's been really big in the sport. But there's not much you can do if you're at this point and you've done what you thought was best and it's not working. So I don't know, honestly. But
I think they've got Talladega. I think they've got that one checked off on the calendar, that we got to win here, because if we don't win here, what Gibbs and Hendrick has showed us is we're not going to beat them at a Kansas. We're not going to beat them at a Charlotte. We're not going to beat them at a road course. So if we don't win at Talladega, we're in trouble. But here's if somebody from Gibbs or somebody from Hendrick is able to go out and win Talladega, I think everybody in the field's in trouble. If you're not a Hendrick driver or a Gibbs driver, everybody's in trouble. And if you look at the top 6 in points, the top 6 in points are Gibbs and Hendrick.
Yep.
So, I think, and I think they'll eventually get it turned around because they'll figure out why they don't have speed. And that's the problem. It can't be the setups in the car because in a lot of places they show up and they don't have speed at all. I mean, if they do they may qualify up front, but when the race starts, they drop like a rock. I mean, Joey Logano qualified on the pole a couple times, and it like Atlanta, it was like dropping a rock in a bucket of water. He just sank right to the bottom at Atlanta. So I think they'll get it figured out, but if they don't get it figured out soon, and when I say soon, I mean the next 2 to 3 weeks before we get to Memorial Day at Charlotte, we might not be looking at a whole lot of Fords in the playoffs this year. Blaney right now is in there. Briscoe right now is in there. Logano right now is in there. But if they don't figure this out, there's a good chance that they may not even make that they could be in some serious playoff trouble.
I would agree 100%. So honestly, because Talladega is next week, so I guess we will see if Ford does not win. I would say they're definitely in trouble for this season. So I don't know.
All right, fantasy picks. I didn't do so hot this week.
I did okay. I was worried though. That's for sure.
I was doing great to the last couple of restarts, and the last couple of restarts still got 2 of my guys.
See, that's what saved me was those last few restarts. I did not get Trey's. I apologize. I've been busy today, and I normally get them on the day we record. But I completely forgot. Knowing him though, it probably didn't change again.
I saw him Saturday, and I said, "Dude, it takes 5 minutes to change your picks."
So I'll actually text him, and if he answers me, I'll throw him in. And if I don't get him in time, and as we said earlier with Larson's, some of Larson's pit crew, if they did get penalized for that, and I throw that snippet in, I'll talk about it then. So let me text him real quick, and sorry for texting in the middle of a recording session, guys, but part of it. So my fantasy, this was kind of odd. I originally had Brad Keselowski in my garage. However, I ended up switching him out. He said it didn't change. Not surprised. Switching him out with Christopher Bell. Actually, I originally switched him out with Kyle Larson because we had the tire issue. So I took him out, and then I realized he was doing better than Christopher Bell, so I switched him out right before the end of stage 2. And so Christopher Bell is in my garage at the end of the race. So in my official lineup, I had Larson, Tyler Reddick, Ty Gibbs, William Byron, and Brad Keselowski. So Keselowski, Byron, and Reddick saved me because that's 2, 3, 4 right there.
Yep.
So what kind of.
I had Reddick. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I was going to do feature matchups. We can get to that after your line.
Oh yeah. Tyler Reddick, which he ended up having a good race. William Byron had a good race. Ryan Blaney, not so much. Ross Chastain, come on now. We were in second place on the last lap, and we finished like 32nd. That killed me. Cal Larson, him having tire problems killed me. Kind of like Darrell Waltrip saying that one time, you picked a fine time to leave me loose wheel. Ty Gibbs was in the garage. I didn't even think about taking him out of the garage. I mean, he just after that whole pit gun incident on that first pit stop, I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to take my chances because his race is already falling apart.
Yeah.
So you want to do featured matchups, huh?
Yeah,
Boy, did I mess this one up. I had Larson over Byron.
I did too.
I got this one. I got Keselowski over Suarez.
Got that one as well.
I got this one. I had Reddick over Bubba.
Got that one.
Which, I mean, it was only 3 positions, but hey, and we talk about impressive teams. 2311 has been running, or 23XI, or whatever they would call it. I think it's 2311 has been running really well this year. Several races this year, both drivers been in the top 10. And then I had Blaney over Elliott. What was I thinking? I picked the Ford over a Chevrolet, talking about how bad Ford's running. But I also did this right after qualifying, and Chase Elliott qualified 24th, and Chase, historically, when he qualifies in the back, he runs in the back.
Yeah, definitely strategy helped him, because I had Blaney as well, because again, I did it after qualifying. I don't remember who I originally had in, but I know before I put Keselowski in my garage, I went down, because if you scroll down before you go to do your picks, it'll tell you like good pick, avoid and all that. And I was like, I didn't have Byron and I didn't have Keselowski, so I was like, oh, I just want to, I'm curious. I scrolled down and I was like, Byron and Keselowski are the 2 you want. And I was like, really? But I mean, they made a good point. I mean, Byron's done well at Texas. Keselowski did well at Texas. They also said Bubba would be a good one to put in. Has led a lot of laps. Has an average like 4.2 finish. It was 4.2, 4.6. So I was like, I don't know who to put in though. So I threw Byron in. I don't know who I took out in his place, and I put Keselowski in the garage. So looking at those actually saved me for once, because I had neither of those drivers in my lineup originally. So we'll get to official points here. So for Texas,
I don't even want to talk about it.
Well, we still both. I mean, we're all under 200. Of course, Trey didn't change his, of course, which is, I don't know why. Again, takes 5 minutes, buddy. Come on, man. We're competing here. So Trey came in third with 115. You came in second with 154, and I came in first with 188. When I originally looked at this at the end of stage 2, you were 3 points ahead of me. So I was nervous. I was like, he's going to gain a couple more points on me. But at the end, I was like 20 points ahead of you. I think it was 21. But when they I don't think it really affected me, though, but when they flip-flopped some of the drivers' finishing positions for the official finishes, it gave me a couple more points. So,
well, see, I'd have had 30 more points had Chastain not spun around.
That is true. So I had 188. So that puts me 13 points ahead at 1663. You at 1650. Trace literally 300 points behind me at 1363. So, man, come on, buddy. If you would just 5 minutes of your time, if you can text me, you can change your fantasy draft, because I know how busy you are, man. Come on. I believe in you. My microphone almost fell into my lap. Sorry, guys. Where am I in the
Oh,
official standings? I don't even want to. Oh boy.
yeah. I don't even want to talk about the we're competing against the ever however many thousands, hundreds of thousands of people that are playing. I don't even want to talk about my number there.
Well, there's at
I'm like
least 35,393 because that's my position.
I'm like 39,000 something. So even though I'm 13 points behind you, there's a lot of people between us.
It only shows me 50 people per page. I don't want to go through tens of thousands of pages. So
Right, right.
they should just have an overall of like how many are in. But I mean, overall, I mean, it's everyone. That's an interesting fantasy name. Sorry. But yeah.
Oh.
So
All right, our head-to-head. Let's talk about it. Truck race. You had Caruth. He finished 12th. I had Kyle. He won. Xfinity race. You had Josh Williams. I had Sheldon Creed. I don't know what I was thinking. Williams finished 12th. Another good run from him. I told you he was going to turn this around. It wasn't going to last forever. Sheldon Creed finished 19th. Cup. I don't know what I was thinking. You had Tyler Reddick. You finished 4th. I had Alex Bowman. He finished 37th. He would have finished better had he not been caught up in that wreck,
which took him out. So
I don't think he would have beat Tyler Reddick in 4th.
No.
I'm not even sure he would have finished top 10. He was not racing top 10. He didn't seem like he had top 10 speed.
You would pick Bowman just to get him out of the way.
I think so, yeah.
Pretty much. So I feel like you still could have picked a better driver to get out of the way and done better, but that's just me. So
Well, no, because those other drivers I'm picking for like Talladega and Daytona later in the year.
That's fair. Well, we're about to pick for Talladega, so
yep. So right now we're at you got 11, I've got 10. Of course, we did miss Daytona, so Talladega. Favorite race, one of my favorite races of the year. I guess since you won this weekend, I'll go first. I think you know who I'm going to pick for the Xfinity, right? You got to know who I'm going to pick.
I feel like I have a very good, what do you call it?
Idea?
Yeah.
Well, I just tell you, man, who doesn't love love?
I've already used that line.
after what he did at Daytona and then turned around and followed that up at Atlanta, Jesse Love breaks out, gets his first win as a rookie at Talladega this week. He's going to sit on the pole. He will not lead every lap, but he will win.
I think that is a very good pick. Knowing how the draft works here and how the Xfinity cars run, I think that's a very good pick. I'm at a toss-up. I can either pick a former super speedway winner who won earlier this year, or I can pick someone who almost won this year. But I think I'm going to go with the double winner, Austin Hill. He won Daytona and Atlanta back-to-back, both super speed. Of course, he kind of won Atlanta because of gas. But still, so I'm going to go with Love's teammate, Hill, as I know he can do really well. So kind of an RCR showdown for us this weekend.
Oh. Which I wish that as good as RCR is doing in the Xfinity series, that they would translate that into Cup, but it doesn't seem to be working that way. All right, Cup.
Cup?
Yeah. Cup picks. Oh man. I am so tempted when this came out and I texted you the lineups. I am so tempted to pick your favorite driver who's making his return to the 15 car this weekend.
Don't do that. That's just a stupid pick, and you know it.
Yeah, I don't care if he's the only. I will go without a pick if Cody Ware is the only one I've got left. Okay, that's just that. Uh, I mean, I will pick a retired driver that's not even driving anymore over before I pick Cody Ware to win or to even beat this. But I'm going to go with a shocker. I think he's going to run really, really well this weekend. Not sure he's going to win. He's going to survive the carnage because, it's Talladega. There's probably going to be carnage. And if something crazy does not happen, let me go. I need to go look and see if I've picked him yet. I don't think I have. I have not. I'm going to go with the driver of the number 7 car. I'm going to go with Corey LaJoie.
What? You have shocked me. A good pick, though. I mean,
I'm not picking him to win, but I pick him to survive the carnage and finish really well.
no,
If he win, I'm not going to be heartbroken if he wins, and I'm not going to be shocked if he wins. But I think he's going to survive the carnage and pull off a good finish.
no, I could see that for sure. Well, I'm gonna go with a guy who's coming off a little bit of momentum from Texas, and subtract a number from Corey LaJoie, and I'm going to go with the number 6. This is kind of going out a limb because we were just talking about Ford being horrible so far, but if anyone's gonna do it, I think Brad Keselowski will redeem Ford and get his first win with RFK at Talladega.
I almost went with Brad. I was sitting here kicking back and forth whether I wanted to go with Brad or Corey. I almost went with Brad. That is a good pick. And he's won here multiple times. So got his first win here, by the way.
So I know you picked a survivor. I picked a winner. So honestly, if he doesn't win, it's probably because he didn't survive.
Which tends to happen to Brad. He is either winning or wrecking at these types of tracks.
I think Talladega, when our head-to-head comes on for the Cup, it'll be interesting just to see how that one plays out. So,
and there's a good possibility they could finish 1-2, either one of them win and the other one finish second.
And I would not be shocked at all. So
no, I don't think I would either.
But I know we talked a lot of news to talk about, a lot of good things to talk about. It's the point of it. Kind of ran through the race. If there's something we didn't talk about, either go watch it or at least look up highlights. NASCAR's always putting up highlights on YouTube of the wrecks and the finishes and everything. So, yeah. So other than that, that's it for Texas and our picks for Talladega. So I've got nothing else. You got anything else?
No, I'm looking forward to Talladega. I love this type of racing. Not a big fan of the wrecking, but this is, if they do it right, if they don't form the train up top and they're side by side and they're moving around and they're changing lanes and there's multiple lanes going and the high lane's coming and the low lane's going and the middle lane's coming and both of the high and the back and the bottom lane are going back, that's exciting to watch. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of the wrecking, just because that's opportunity for a driver to get hurt, and we don't want to see anybody get hurt. Plus, I don't believe that wrecking is racing. They have went caution free at Talladega before. Now that was before the stage area. I mean, obviously we're going to have at least 2 cautions, but if Talladega went with the stage breaks being the only cautions, I would be absolutely okay with that. I remember back, I think it was 2000. It was either 2000 or 2001, 2002, somewhere in there, they ran a Talladega race without no cautions whatsoever. I mean, it was an excellent race to watch. Bobby Hamilton won that race. I remember that he was driving the 55 Square D car for Andy Peachy Racing, and it was just an amazing race to watch. That's the type of Talladega I'd love to be able to see. And these cars seem to draft really well. But the only thing I don't like about these cars that I liked about the old cars is with the old cars, if you were by yourself, you could get up enough momentum in the draft that you could pull out and pass. You can't with these cars. You got to have somebody go with you. But either which way, I'm excited. I love this type of racing, edge of your seat racing. You never know who's going to win until the checker flag falls at these tracks. And that's the kind of racing that we don't get it. We don't need it every week. We don't get it every week. But when we do get it, it's fun and exciting to watch.
Absolutely. So, yep, I also look forward to it. Talladega is always a good one to watch as a super speedway. I'd love to see it go completely green besides this 2 stage breaks. Because normally the big one, as they say, is sucks. So because sometimes you never know if the driver's okay or not. So hopefully we can avoid that for this next week and have another good weekend of racing. So that is all I have. So I shall let Duke Ryder take over for the non-sponsored shoutouts. However, if you want to move to the sponsored shoutout section, just send me a message on Instagram or Twitter.
All right, so we got Scene Vault Podcast with Rick Houston and Steve Wade. Door Bumper Clear with TJ Majors, Brett Griffin, and Freddie Kraft. I haven't had a chance to listen this week, but it is out. The Dale Jr. Download with Dale Jr. on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. His interviews on Wednesdays have been excellent this year. I've enjoyed every single one of them. Actions Detrimental with Denny Hamlin. It's another one that's out I haven't had a chance to listen to. The Teardown with Jeff Gluck and Jordan Bianchi. Excellent podcast this week. I really enjoyed listening to it this week. They were the ones that kind of gave me the idea of maybe some of the things to talk about on this show, especially with Ford being in the trouble that they're in. So give them a listen to Happy Hour with Kevin Harvick on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Stacking Pennies with Corey LaJoie. Follow Bob Pockrass on Twitter. Follow Trey Ryan. I don't know why I always mess up his name. It's not like it's hard to say. On Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, for your stats. Jayski on Twitter, X, for your stats, jayski.com. Follow Matt Weaver. Man, if you love racing, I'm just going to mention, if you love racing, I don't care what kind of racing it is, dirt racing, asphalt racing, ASA racing, Cars Tour racing, World of Outlaws racing, High Limit Tour racing, NASCAR racing, Matt Weaver is the guy to follow because he covers it all. Doesn't leave anything out. He's also interactive with the fans, so if you comment on something and he agrees with you, he'll let you know. If he disagrees with you, he'll let you know. And he's very educational. If you make a comment of something that you're not really too sure, you're not really educated on, but Matt has the background on it, he will share that background. And he does it in a way that doesn't make you feel stupid. Of course, all these guys do when they do interact. They do it in a way that doesn't make you feel stupid. So, Couch Racer on X, man, if you want to laugh, they're great to follow. They've got some good merch. Check them out as well. And our personal favorite, CircleBDiecast.com. Check them out. Order from them, or your race win diecast. They've got all 3 up for pre-order for this past weekend with Kyle Busch, Sam Mayer. Wow, sorry, just had a brain fart for a minute trying to think of who won the Xfinity race. I wish I would have said Ryan Sieg, because not only do I want to see Ryan Sieg win a race, I want a Ryan Sieg diecast. Dadgummit. Almost thought we was going to have him one last year, but they didn't. They were DNP'd. And then, of course, the Chase Elliott Hooters diecast from this past weekend. Winner's diecast is also up for pre-order on CircleBDiecast.com. For your elites, check out firstclassdiecast.com. Circle B does their shipping for them. But another excellent company. If you like the elites, you have to get them from there because Circle B just carries the ARC and the 164s. But if you want a Chase Elliott autograph diecast from this week, you got to go to HendrickMotorsports.com or ChaseElliott.com. Unfortunately, Circle B diecast used to carry the autographed ones for the Hendrick Motorsports drivers, but they don't anymore. I don't know if it's a licensing issue or what, but either which way, they've got a lot of excellent diecasts from the past, the present, the future on there. So go and check out CircleBDiecast.com. And if you want to sponsor us, give us a shout, CircleBDiecast.com.
He'll put a Circle B hat back on.
Check out Bass Pro Shops. Check out Bass Pro Shops too for all of your fishing needs, all of your hunting needs, and they got some pretty cool clothes too.
Well, that hurts having a clothing brand represent you, but no, that's fair for like hunting or something outdoorsy. Definitely check out Bass Pros, and then for your hunting and fishing needs, of course, check them out as well. And then Circle B, of course, check them out. All your diecast needs, man. Unfortunately, when a Hendrick driver wins, you got to go to Hendrick store or that personal driver store. I don't think the Chase Elliott autographed win was offered on Hendrick, because when I went to get it myself, it was only on the Chase Elliott store. Just want to throw that in there. I don't know, they may have put it up by now, but all I was seeing on Hendrick was just the win diecast, the regular and elite. To get the autographed, I had to go to the Chase Elliott store, so just want to throw that out there in case y'all have any confusion. They may have put up the autograph one, but I haven't looked since I ordered, so I don't know. But just in case, check out Chase Elliott's store. So for our sponsored shout-outs, you have Swift Grips, analog grips to any controller, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo Switch. No, they cannot go on your keyboard controller. You have to get actual key locks for that. So check them out to keep your non-sweaty, have non-sweaty grips from your sweaty fingers. So check them out. Use code SterlingRider for 10% off at checkout. You also have my favorite energy blend, Dubby Jitterless Energy Blend. Man, this stuff is good. As you see, he's got the steel tumbler, which, disclaimer, they said it keeps drinks cold for 24 hours. Guess what? It does it for longer than that. I don't know about hot. I don't think anyone's really putting anything hot in there yet. I'd kind of be scared too, because the lid clip is plastic, I believe, so I would be careful if you do that. Just however, I'm sure it's safe, because they always test their things before release. So check them out. Super healthy with their vitamins. None of the crash that other energy brands would give you. Also check out their hydration formula. Check out their merchandise. Check out their app, as there's a lot of in-app exclusives. For their official third-year birthday, they are doing a 35% off sale using code 3BDAY. So check them out. Get that extra percentage. If you don't make that, you can always use code SterlingRider for 10% off at checkout. So check out Dubby. As I said, they got their hydration formula. They got the energy formula. They also have the steel tumbler, which is re-released. So they have brought those back. And then you also have any shakers. So check them out. And then also, you see it on my head, Rankest Rope Ranch Wear. Guess what? I got their sticker set in. Super cool. I also got their button-up in. which is actually a little big on me, but this is their black and white button-up. So check that out.
That's cool.
It's actually very nice.
That is cool.
Definitely, it's super thin though, so you might want to order one of their T-shirts too to go underneath. Hint, hint. So yeah, Rankest Rope Ranch wear. They also have a new site, so I will update in the link below the new site. I can't say it off the top of my head. I think it was literally Rankest.store, something around there. So check them out. It's retro Western wear and rodeo mixed in together. They've got hats, hoodies, and shirts, and the button-ups I just saw, and the sticker set I just showed you. There are a lot of good stickers in here. I don't feel like pulling them out and showing them all to you because that would take some time. So you can use code SILVERDUKE15 for 15% off with them, as they are my official sponsoring clothing brand. I'm doing it again. Brand. As you see, I wear this hat daily. So, and I normally wear their shirts daily. I'm sorry guys, I had to rep Chase Elliott. You know, he won. Big fan of his. So go check them out. All great sponsors. All the non-sponsors, all the podcasts are really good to listen to. Everyone on Twitter as well. Good to follow to keep you updated. And then Circle B, of course. Circle B, we really want you in this sponsored part, man. Come on. Send me a message.
we really need a NASCAR related sponsor somewhere in here that actually helps us to either get product or merch or something that we can give out, because what we really need to be doing is working our way towards getting a sponsor that'll help to do a giveaway. Send us some product, send us some merch that we can maybe figure out a way to give it away to a follower. Maybe a follower that a subscriber that brings us some subscribers, or something like that, or maybe somebody that gives us an idea for the show that we incorporate in. But hope y'all like the change up. We changed it up a little bit. If you really want to know what happened during the race, just go watch it.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it. We'll give you our thoughts and opinions. But if you really want to know what caution came out on, and who spun at that caution, and who brought the caution out, and whatever, go watch the races, man. That's what the races are on TV for, so you can go watch them. If you can't watch them on TV, find them on the radio. If you can't find them on the radio, pull up NASCAR.com and listen to it on the radio. On the radio on NASCAR.com, or they got ways on NASCAR.com to watch the race. So anyway,
you can also download the NASCAR app. You follow along with the app as well. You can even watch the race on the app. You don't really get the booth commentators. You have to listen to MRN or pay to listen to the actual commentators in the booth. MRN does really, really good though.
Yes.
There was a time that was how I was watching the races. So kind of sucks because you either get the battle or area cam, or you can watch in-car cameras from your favorite driver. I normally did the aerial. It was the best. So you can watch it on the race, watch the race on the app as well. So, and
that's free.
Yep. And so is the CW later this year.
Yes, and the CW also has an app that you can download for your devices, and you can watch the races for free on the CW app. So that's cool too.
That is cool. So
Talladega, baby. Oh, one of these days. This track is absolutely 100% close to the top of my bucket list of tracks that I want to go to. I've got Talladega, Bristol, Charlotte, Daytona. I eventually want to go to Indianapolis, but I don't know if I want to go for the Cup race or the Indy 500. I kind of want to go for both, to be perfectly honest with you.
That's fair. I actually plan to go to every race. It may not be every race in a season, but at least a race at every racetrack. Maybe a few this season, a few next season. It just depends on how the schedule works out. And money management, because they cost, but going for the whole weekend is going to be worth it, as we talked about in the beginning. So,
and we kind of need to get you a little bit closer to where you are, because the plane tickets from where you are to where the races are is like a paycheck for you. So,
yeah, pretty much and that's for a 2-round trip, there and back. So,
and that doesn't count the race tickets and the hotel and the food and all the other stuff that you'd have to spend dude, we'll have to keep you away from the merchandise haulers. I mean, that's just
good luck.
we can take what we already have to get autographed. If we run across the driver, or if the driver happens to be at the merch trailer, but you're not going to be able to spend anything at the merch trailer. I mean,
no, probably not. But, plus,
anyway,
I don't. You said hotel. I'd rather be in the infield with a camper, so I'd have to pay for the camper. So,
well, we're working on that. I mean, we're working on getting there.
I mean,
that.
But just think, guys, when we get to these points, we could make videos while we're at the track, include them in the podcast, and talk about our experience. That would get y'all even interested in going. Because watching it on TV is nothing like watching it in real life. I can just say that from the Snowball Derby. Watching racing in real life is nothing like watching it on TV.
Absolutely. And I grew up going to like the Springfield Mile up in Illinois, and going to short dirt tracks and watching the dirt modifieds. And then even after we moved to Arkansas, there was a few races local that I was able to go to back in the day. So you're absolutely right. Being at the racetrack versus watching racing on TV or on the app or on your iPhone or your iPad or your Google phone. I'm going to say those are not smartphones, but whatever, wherever you're watching the race, it does not compare to being live at a racetrack and hearing the sounds and smelling the gasoline and the fumes and the people and the beer. Yeah, the whole environment, it's totally different. I mean, it's anything that you go to, any sporting event that you go to is a whole lot different than watching it live. I've been to a professional basketball game. I've been to college football games, and I've watched them on TV, and being there does not compare, or watching on TV does not compare to a live event. So if you get a chance to go to a race, go for the whole weekend, like I talked about earlier. And if you can, go to Talladega this weekend.
Absolutely. Only 2 races this weekend, but it'll still be well worth it. So, that's all I've got. Thank you guys so much for listening. Didn't have any technical difficulties this week, as you see. Got a kind of a different setup here. Got an actual microphone, so hopefully it all... Duke Ryder said it sounded well, so hopefully it sounds well for y'all as well. Thank you guys for watching. All the podcasts, all the shout outs for Twitter and Circle B, and then sponsors Dubby, Swift Grips, and Rankest Rope Ranchwear. All the links are in the description below, along with our Twitters as well. So go check them out. Give us a holler. Like I said, Circle B, send me a message if you want to sponsor us. I would love it. Bass Pro Shops too, man. We'll even throw you in there.
I tag them when I post these things on Twitter. The links to the show, I tag them in it, so hopefully they will go and at least watch one of them and be like, hey, we want to, at least these guys are calling us, give us a shout out. Maybe we'll give them another discount on their shipping or something.
It would be nice, but I don't know. Keep tagging them, and maybe at the point where they're so annoyed they block you. But hopefully they don't do that.
No, we don't want to get
we don't want that. So, anyways, thanks guys again. if you enjoyed, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when a new podcast episode is uploaded, and so when you know when I am streaming any game live. Again, English, I just can't do it.
If you don't listen for any other reason than to hear you English.
Yeah, pretty much. 'Cause I trip over my words quite often, especially when I'm streaming. Comment down how we can improve. We like the feedback. Just don't be super rude about it, even if it's like, kind of annoying. Just be nice. We accept it. So we're looking to improve. We're still kind of new. The setup definitely helps now. Eventually I'll get stuff behind me so you don't see the package on my bed in the corner.
I didn't even notice. I see it now.
Thank goodness. My microphone came in today, and it came in at the time we're about to record. So I'm ripping these things open, getting it put together, doing some quick test runs, and like in the middle of my testing, Duke Ryder was like, "Are you ready?" I was like, kind of, but I'm testing the new microphone." But anyways, glad to have a better setup. Hopefully technical difficulties will kind of stop more now. Now it's just my Wi-Fi kind of being stupid, but nothing I can really do about that. So, that's sorry for the ramble. Another long episode, but had a lot to talk about. That wasn't the race, which is always a good thing for the most part. Depends what the news is, bad or good. So, any last words?
Y'all have a good week. Let's go watch some Talladega.
Let's do it. Let's go see Talladega. So with that being said, and with further ado, peace out, ride on, and God bless. What's up, guys? As we discussed in the podcast, if there were any penalties or violation, suspensions, whatever, from any of the races, I was going to follow up if I got them in time. If there were any, especially talking about Larson and how his his whole tire came off during the race. So we do have those. Thank you, Bob I'll say it in a minute. Pockrass, for tweeting these out on Twitter. One of the guys Duke Ryder always shouts out in our non-sponsor shout-outs, but we get a lot of info from him and other people. So thank you to him. As we talked about Kyle Larson, somebody on his pit crew would probably get it. We are correct. There are 2 race suspensions for his rear tire changer and his jackman. So they have a 2 race suspension. As we kind of figured, as we talked about during the podcast, but there was also some 1 race suspensions for some safety clothing violations. Chris Buescher's tire carrier. Christopher Bell's tire carrier as well. Also Austin Hill's jackman, that part of the pit crew for when he did the cup race, as he ran the cup race for Texas as well. So the jackman for that race has been suspended, along with Brandon Jones fueler, and also the fueler for Larson. So Kyle Larson's fueler will also have a 1 race suspension. So that's 3 people for 1 race for Kyle Larson, which can be a big deal, especially being a championship contending team. However, that's the only things, only suspensions, and no like fines or anything. As we figured, Kyle Larson had a few people get suspended for a race, actually a couple races. Thank you guys again for watching. Thank you again, Pockrass, for tweeting those out. So I was able to get it in. We got it just in time because I was actually about to hit upload and I saw the tweet and I was like, oh, I need to do this. So thank you, Bob. Thank you also everyone else that watches and we follow on Twitter to help us with the news and stuff. That's actually officially it for Texas. Thank you again to all of our non-sponsor shout-outs, all the podcasts. Go give them a listen. Everyone on Twitter, Couch Racer, Bob Pockrass, Matt Weaver, Jayski, Trey Ryan. Also mine and Duke Riders' Twitter's handles will also be in the links down below, along with Circle B Diecast. And then also to our, the channel sponsors, Dubby's, Gearless Energy, Rankest Rope Ranch Wear, of course, and Swift Grips. So thank you guys again for watching, and we will see you next week after Talladega. Once again, peace out, ride on, and God bless.